Welcome back to the vault. Take a seat. Today, we aren't looking at a gun or a body. We're looking at a ghost. In the world of the Lucchese crime family, silence wasn't just a rule, it was a religion. But in the spring of 1989, a single vibration in a copper wire did what the FBI couldn't do for 30 years. It broke the back of an empire. Hollywood tells you that the Mafia fell in a hail of bullets. The truth in the archives is much quieter. It happened in a phone booth. One voice, one name, one mistake. Tonight, we analyze the tapes that ended the Lucchese dynasty. May 1989. The air in Brooklyn is thick with the scent of wet asphalt and paranoia. Anthony Gaspipe Casso, the underboss who turned the Lucchese family into a hit squad, is already a ghost. He doesn't sleep in the same bed twice. He doesn't trust his own shadow. He knows the feds are listening, but he believes he is smarter than the technology. He steps into a booth. He dials a number. He thinks the line is clean. He thinks the crystal ball, his corrupt cops, have cleared the area. But 20 miles away, in a windowless room, a reel-to-reel tape begins to spin. That package wasn't a shipment of heroin or hijacked electronics. It was a human being. And that phone call didn't just order a hit. It gave the FBI the one thing they lacked, a direct link between the boss's voice and a murder in progress. The Lucchese Empire, built on decades of blood and Omertà, was about to be toppled by a 60-second conversation. To understand the fall, you have to understand the men at the top. Vittorio, Vic Amuso, and Anthony Gaspipe Casso were not traditional bosses. They didn't want to be loved. They wanted to be feared. When they took over the Lucchese family from the old-school Tony Ducks Corallo, they brought a new philosophy: kill everyone. In the old days, you only killed a made man if he was a rat. Under Amuso and Casso, you were killed if they suspected you might think about becoming a rat. You were killed if you weren't earning enough. You were killed if you looked at them wrong. They were the architects of a regime of terror that made the other four families look like social workers. But paranoia is a double-edged sword. While they were busy purging their own ranks, they stopped paying attention to the cracks in their own security. Casso was obsessed with technology. He spent thousands on bug detectors and scrambled lines. He was so confident in his secure communications that he began to use the phone for business he should have handled in person. It was his ego that picked up the receiver. The Lucchese family had a powerful branch in New Jersey, led by Anthony Tumac, etc. For decades, the Jersey crew sent a massive percentage of their earnings back to New York. They were the earners, the muscle, the backbone. But Amuso and Casso grew greedy. They demanded a bigger cut. Then they demanded the whole thing. When Tumac refused to kick up the extra cash, Casso didn't negotiate. He sent a message: kill the entire Jersey crew. This was the turning point. The Jersey crew realized that loyalty to the Lucchese name meant a death sentence. They stopped answering their phones. They stopped coming to meetings. And for the first time, a whole faction of a mafia family began to look at the FBI as a better option than their own bosses. The phone call that would eventually end it all was a desperate attempt by Casso to re-establish control over a state that had already declared independence. The FBI had been monitoring a drop phone in a nondescript apartment in Brooklyn. They didn't think it was important until they heard a voice they recognized from a dozen surveillance videos. It was Gaspipe. He was talking to a soldier about the Jersey problem. In that 60-second call, he dropped the code. He gave an address. He mentioned a name. He was ordering the hit that would finally bring the Jersey crew into the government's arms. The FBI didn't move immediately. They watched. They waited. They saw the hit team arrive at the restaurant. They had the phone call, the intent, and the action. It was a grand slam in the legal world. The Lucchese Empire wasn't just leaking, it was underwater. By 1991, the empire was over. Amuso was captured in a safe house. Casso went on the run, becoming the most wanted man in America, before eventually being cornered in a New Jersey suburb. The man who owned the NYPD, the man who terrified the 5 families, was brought down not by a rival's bullet, but by a copper wire. He realized his secure phones were his prison. He turned. He became the highest-ranking mobster to ever flip at that time. He told the vault everything. He opened the files on the hits, the bribes, and the secret burials. But it all started with that one call. The Lucchese family still exists today, but it is a shadow of the empire Casso and Amuso built. They learned a hard lesson that night in Bensonhurst. In the modern world, silence isn't enough. You have to be invisible. Anthony Casso thought he was a genius. He thought he could rule an underworld from a phone booth. He died in a prison cell, proving that in the end, the wire always wins. But the vault is never truly empty. Some empires are toppled by wiretaps. Others are toppled by something far more ordinary. Next time we look at a case so strange it sounds like fiction. We go inside the investigation of a man who thought he was untouchable, until a single, hungry mistake changed everything. Next file. How a stolen sandwich led the FBI to the Mafia's secret vault. If you want to be there when we reveal how a lunch order ended a legacy, hit the subscribe button now and turn on notifications. You won't believe the paper trail. Comment below, what's the smallest mistake you've ever seen lead to a massive disaster? I'll see you in the comments.